confused, or I don't know if that's the right word, but I wanted to share the audio from the Astroworld EMTs. And I want to talk about it with you guys because the audio was leaked. Let me know what you think.
Structural issues that could be catastrophic, and we need everybody together. No small groups. It's like focus coming out of the crowd, complaining of difficult breathing, crushing type injuries. Seems like the crowd is compressing, from what I could tell. I was on the Delta side, and I probably saw at least 4 or 5 people pouring out of the crowd, just trying to get away from the crowd. The comp is still going on. The crowd is compressing, it's compressing, and the intel we're getting is that the barricade might be compromised or being compromised. So the crowd is compressing.
Hey, can I have the airplane for a few seconds? Can I have the air for a few seconds? Hey, I'm gonna be at the medical tent, and there's a lot of people trampled, and they're passed out at the front stage.
3 or 4 screaming in front of the stage. We have security up there. The people are taking us to the back.
The unit asking about trampling, I guess they're pulling them out and taking them to the back.
They were getting multiple reports that we found out unconscious in the crowd.
HBCP to unit interrogating reports. Right now, that crowd is super thick, super dense. If you go in there, this could possibly turn into an officer rescue situation, and that makes it extremely dangerous for everybody. So right now, if you can get in on the perimeter, get to them. If not, try your best and go commands into that crowd to help out. Other than that, be careful.
Well, they have to stop the show because there's people trample and they're not breathing.
You guys are doing well. Take a breath. Everyone's doing a good job. Now listen, what I need is for people to get things under control at the medical tent. HFD's been advised. They are listening to our channel and they're pulling people in to come and help, okay? Help is coming. Just take a deep breath and relax. We'll work through this. Anybody that's close to Seth with Live Nation, can you advise?
The general's down here. We're here right now. Let's be back over.
They're overhead right now.
So as you guys could tell as you're listening to that, it definitely sounded like they understood bad things was happening. I mean, this was leading there, and it's like the dispatcher's like, yeah, we know it's bad. You guys are doing a good job. Keep it up, and just trying to encourage them. But my goodness, that sounded really bad to me. That sounded really bad to me. And whenever I listened to that, I mean, it made me very disappointed. And just knowing that the 9 lives that have been lost because of this could have been saved. And I'm not saying that that particular dispatcher or any people that were a part of that team could have prevented those lives lost, but somebody somewhere could have, and they had the intel that they needed, in my opinion. Kathy says it's an awful and tragic situation for so many. My goodness, there's no other way to say that. That's absolutely true. It's an awful, terrible, tragic, sad situation for everyone, anyone involved. And I'm praying for the families, and I'm heartbroken for the families. Disappointed in a lot of different ways because of what was happening. And whenever I seen the response from Travis Scott, I just wasn't really vibing with it. And the only response so far that I've really seen from him is either through written statements, one video of him after the concert where he acted like he was upset that people didn't have a great time at a concert, didn't seem distraught as his written statements say from the lives that were lost. And then on top of that, instead of him going out and trying to have interviews and conversations with people, he's sending spokespeople around. And so this next interview that I want to show you is from his spokesperson. Like, this lady here is the one who's out doing the interviews on his behalf. That's not the same to me as him doing the interviews.
Name and her face sounds familiar. It's because she's used to dealing with tragedy and controversy. She's a former mayor of Baltimore. She's now serving as Travis Scott's spokesperson. Stephanie, it's good to see you. I'm very sorry it's under these circumstances. This story is heartbreaking on so many different levels. You know, there's a lot of finger pointing going on, much of it directed at Travis Scott, in particular from some of the people who were there that night. Can you tell us, when was he aware that this concert had turned into such a tragedy?
So first, thank you for having me, and it is sorry that it's under these circumstances. Yeah, there's a lot of confusion, as you saw in the clip preceding. It was chaotic, and just like the police officers who were standing in front of the stage with Travis nearly 30 minutes after it was declared a public safety emergency, Travis had no idea what was going on until well later, hours and hours later.
Do you guys believe that?
How was he notified?
He was notified by his team after the event, after he was already gone from the event. As you saw, there was so much chaos, so much breakdown in the communication. And that's why it was important for me to work to try to help him out. 9 people have lost their lives.
Yes.
9 families are grieving. And Gail, I'm a mom. My daughter's gone to one of these big concerts, and I can tell you, I spent 3 sleepless nights every day watching my phone, watching her location, because when you have crowds of 50,000 people, anything can happen. And while a lot of people are trying to place the blame, Travis is taking responsibility for moving forward and trying to make sure this never happens again to anyone's child.
Do you think he's taking
There were
responsibility?
reports that he had gone to Dave & Buster's and was partying. I think it's important to point out that when he was at Dave & Buster's, he couldn't possibly have known that this had devolved into what it had become.
No, absolutely not. He was there trying to regroup with his team. They were trying to figure out what was going on. It was hours and hours after the concert when they actually found out the tragedy, how the tragedy unfolded. And he has not stopped grieving for these families. He knows that he is who he is because of his fans. His love for his fans is so deep. I was struck when I was speaking to him how deeply he was hurting because of what happened to the people he loves and in the city that he loves.
Yeah, I heard you say that he's taken responsibility. What do you mean by that? And he wants to make sure this doesn't happen again. What do you mean?
When I say responsibility, someone has to say, where are the breakdowns? Where was the communication breakdown? Where was the public safety breakdown? I mean, this notion that Travis had the ability to stop the concert is ludicrous. They have a 59-page operations plan, and it clearly says the only 2 people that are have the authority to stop the concert were the executive producer and the concert producer. He was not responsible for this, but he wants to be responsible for the solution. And I'm here to make sure that we can connect the dots and to make sure that this tragedy, that there's a lesson out of this tragedy and something like this doesn't happen again.
You know, you pointed out there is video of police officers in front of the stage. They actually seem to be enjoying the concert. They were seem to be singing along and videotaping, and they're right in front of Travis at the time. So they didn't appear to be aware of it. Certainly Travis didn't appear to be aware of it. Did Travis Scott and his team have any conversations with officials before about safety at this event?
Yes, his team is always concerned about safety. You know, he does not hide from the fact that in the past he has made mistakes. But one thing he said to me, he looked me in my eyes and said that he's learned from that, and that's why he takes safety so seriously. He stopped when he saw that something was amiss. He couldn't tell what it was, but he's so concerned about his fans. He stopped. In the video show, he stopped multiple times to try to get a sense of what was going on. And just like those police officers that were standing in front of the stage, he could not tell what was going on.
Has he reached out to any of the families, Stephanie?
Oh, absolutely. First, I want to say that we're respectful. He's very respectful of their need for privacy and space as they grieve. But
that's code for they're really angry. Families are really angry at him and don't want to talk to him. Renee says, absolutely not. I believe he's trying to save face so he's not sued. If he cared, he would face his fans in the public. That's my point. Why is he having a spokesperson come out on his behalf? Doesn't make sense to me. I'm not buying it. I don't appreciate it, and I don't like it. I think regardless of who she was, previous mayor or not, or whatever, like regardless of that situation, it should be Travis Scott himself on doing these interviews and having this conversation. One of the things she said was he didn't know. He didn't know. And then she said he was at Dave & Buster's trying to regroup with his team to find out what happened. That means he knew something. And I don't know about you, but I've regrouped with a lot of people. We don't regroup at Dave & Buster's. You know, We're regrouping at the hotel conference room. We're regrouping in the tour bus. We're regrouping backstage. We're regrouping in the green room. We're not regrouping at Dave & Buster's where Drake's throwing a party. That's not the place you regroup. So I wasn't buying that. It's like he did know, and then he went to Dave & Buster's, what it sounds like to me. And then once it hit the news, he had to leave Dave & Buster's. That's what it sounds like. LA says this. By the way, thank you for that super chat, Renee. LA says this. I hear one of the reasons children were at the show is related to Travis Scott's advertising the children on kids' meals and cereal meals. So our cereal meals and Happy Meals. I don't think he was a Happy Meal. I don't think he was on a Happy Meal. I think he had a Travis Scott meal at McDonald's, if my memory serves me correctly. I could be wrong. He might have had a Happy Meal, but I don't think he had a Happy Meal. I think he had a like a meal, like combo with like a burger and stuff in it. But to your point, and by the way, thank you for that super chat. To your point, he was on Fortnite. He had a concert on Fortnite where millions of preteens attended and watched this. He did a virtual concert. Basically, it was like he did a concert, but it was like a holograph of him or whatever. And somehow they figured out how to do that. And so he did advertise to children. Somebody sent me a message today who said, hey, you need to lighten up on people who let their kids go to this concert. So I'll lighten up a little bit about that because I can understand how a parent could see or think that this was like a kid's artist. But I would say the burden is on the parent to go and research and find out clearly this is not a children's artist. So, and Odetta is correcting me, says Travis Scott did have a Happy Meal. Oh my gosh, that just drives me crazy. Why would they have a Happy Meal of him? I don't understand. What all his music's explicit. It's not like he has music that's not explicit. I don't understand. Avery says this. She said he stopped several times to try and get a sense of what was going on. He knew. So I'm saying he might not have known 8 or 9 people have died, but he knew something was going on without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. I want to dive more deep into this. I don't even want to go to McDonald's ever again if they were putting Happy Meals of this kind of stuff in there. My goodness. Thank you, Avery, for that super chat. Glinda says, happy birthday, Eve, Tyler. Hope you enjoy your special day. Thank you, Glinda, for the super chat. Thank you for the well wishes. I hope so too. I hope I have a good day. It's almost my birthday. Just around the corner is going to be my birthday, just in a few minutes. I also want to shout out Desi and Smoochie555777 who joined the Feller fam today. So shout out to you guys. Thank you for joining the Feller fam. Feller fam's a great place to be. If you're part of the Feller fam, we have a private Facebook group for people who are part of the Feller fam. So if you're part of the Feller fam and you have Facebook, you need to be part of that group. Kim sent me this article. Astroworld safety plan called for deceased to be referred to as Smurfs. Now, Kim, I'm going to read this article, but one of the things that I realized or saw was like if they do that on purpose so it doesn't freak people out in the audience. So it doesn't cause mass chaos. It's like a standard protocol across many places. It says this, the security and emergency response plan prepared by organizers ahead of the Astroworld Festival in Houston lays out details for responding to tornadoes, extreme heat, bomb threats, earthquakes, and active shooters. But the 56-page document never one time mentions how to handle a dangerous crowd surge, like what took place at Travis Scott's concert. 8 people died, now 9 people. And 3 people were trampled on and hospitalized. The latest operations plans, which was obtained by Houston Public Media, was provided to NPR. Live Nation ignored Travis Scott's reputation for encouraging audiences to go wild. Scott's concerts are known for raucous crowds. Fans also expect and look forward to the mayhem of Scott's shows. Organizers ignored all that. Instead, he put together a boilerplate plan that failed to address the dangers. It doesn't address crowd crush or crowd craze or moshing or stage diving, and it doesn't discuss anything significant about what to do in an emergency situation. What the document does state is the following. From this plan, the potential for multiple alcohol and drug-related events, possible evacuation needs, and the ever-present of a mass casualty situation are identified as key concerns. The closest organizers came to addressing how to respond to a crowd surge is in this section of civil disturbances. It says this: in any situation where large groups of people are gathering, there is the potential for a riot that can give grave risk to safety of employees and guests. The key is properly dealing with this type of scenario is in proper management of the crowd from the minute that the door opens, which clearly didn't happen. The plan also instructs security personnel to be aware of the possibility of a mob. If detaining the perpetrator, watch for angry groups and mob forming. In the instance of a fatality, staff were told never use the term dead or deceased over the radio. Instead, use the term Smurf. So I think that might be kind of like standard, honestly, to some degree from what I understood, but I could be wrong. Happy Caffeinated Couple says this. Thank you for that super chat, Happy Caffeinated Couple. I feel if he cared about safety in general, he would not actively promote violence in his concerts, encouraging bursting through barricades, jumping from balconies, telling people to give the finger to the ambulance. It's heartbreaking. I agree with you. If he cared about safety, he would have made sure that without a shadow of a doubt that there was some, there was some definite safety protocols in place. Desi says, happy birthday. Good evening from Ozark, Missouri. This was such a tragedy. Hey, Desi, thank you for joining the Feller fam. Thank you for picking up the Don't Stop book. And also, I went to college in Springfield, Missouri, and I was just in Nixa, Missouri like 2 weeks ago. So, boom, I've spent a lot of time in your neck of the woods. I did an interview with Pastor John Lindell from James River. It's on my YouTube channel if you wanted to go listen to it, or it's on my podcast. I would say that somebody's saying there's more than 9 people dead. I would say it's likely that there's more at this point than 9 people who've passed away. I don't know that for sure, but I would say more than 9 people, probably. I don't understand how that mayor, why would a mayor become a spokesperson for a rap artist? I don't